or is stapled, okay, to the inside of the folder.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 o'clock. I'm going to give it just a couple minutes before we actually call the meeting to order to see if we can get a quorum tonight.
Mr. Durnell, how many do we need to have a quorum? What do we require? I don't know.
Yeah, so under our rules, it actually says a quorum is 5. So we do have 5 here tonight. My guess, the reason for that is we have 11 members on our board. The 11th is by virtue of his office being city engineer, it's Mr. Swan. So if I had to guess, the reason for that rule is probably because of that. So our 5 does constitute a quorum.
Well, that being known, it is after 7 o'clock, and I will call this meeting of the City of Martinsville Plan Commission to order. Our normal secretary is absent tonight, and Lisa is kindly going to take notes, but we probably should have a member as temporary secretary for this meeting. So do I have any volunteers?
I'd be glad to. Steve Bodie.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Let's do a roll call.
Joe Disney, Rick Durnell,
Present.
Marilyn Sidewick, Rich Baston,
Present.
Steve Bodie,
Here.
James Burkhart,
Present.
Caleb Forster, Richard Heacock, Ann Millard, Jason Scott,
Here.
Tori Swan, Bob Strader,
Present.
Dell Coffey,
Present.
Mac Dunn,
Here.
Kenny Costin.
Here.
Thank you. So we do have the 5 required members for a quorum. Prior to tonight's meeting, you each should have received minutes dated February 24th, 2026. If everybody's had a chance to review those, do we notice any corrections to be made?
Yes, I have one under old business, the first docket, 25029. It says motion was made and that 1 negative vote by Steve Bodie, by me. Can we add after that, Bodie said voting against because the petitioner was not here in person, just so we document why I voted against. Bodie said voting against because petitioner was not here in person.
Any other changes or corrections? I'd look for a motion on the minutes.
Steve Bodie, I'll move that we approve them as presented with that one addition.
Got a motion by Steve Bodie
I'll second that.
and a second by Jim Burkhart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So we have 2 items under old business tonight, and with the commission's approval, I'm wondering if we'd have any opposition to moving our discussion on the sign ordinance until after the conclusion of new business. That would just give our petitioners a chance, if they choose to leave, they don't have to stay for that conversation.
No problem with that.
Sure.
We'll move that to the end of our agenda then. So we will start with old business, docket number PC 26004, remodel in historic downtown district. The address is 65 West Morgan Street. Owner is Jesse Logston. Do you have anybody here to present?
Yes.
If you would step up to the podium, there should be a sign-in sheet there. And if you will state your name into the microphone when you're done.
Jesse Logston.
Okay, so tell us about the project.
Just looking to restore it, turn it into two 2,500 square foot rentals on the first floor, office spaces. Then there'll be 3 apartments, or on the top level that would be two bedroom, 1 bath, one bedroom, 1 bath. And that's the whole process. I mean, to totally remodel the building, bring it back to life.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
as this body, we're more interested in what you're doing to the facade
outside
of the
of it?
building. Yes.
Completely renovating, scraping it down and repainting and just, what do you mean, like new windows, new? It's not changing.
You've got like 3 doors there, you've got a
It's
bunch
not,
of windows.
it's not really changing. Everything stays about the same in the blueprint. The exits stay the same. The entrances stay the
You're
same.
gonna paint it
Yes.
this color?
Yeah, more than likely, yes. That's the only option, really.
I'm sorry, what color are you painting it? Is that what this is?
Yeah, there was, right here.
There you are, Judge.
Oh, okay.
That's just kind of like just a rough idea, but we had Dawning Star, Morning Sun, and Sealskin, 3 different, you can kind of see them together. It's hard to tell in the print off, I know. But this is, I mean, kind of up in the air. I mean, there's so much other concern with the foundation being blown in, and there's a lot more to work on.
So as Mr. Burkhart mentioned earlier, our jurisdiction pertains to the facade of the building. So in the plans, we've determined that we really need to see an elevation sketch showing what the front will look like.
We currently have a architect, he's a licensed architect working on all that. So,
Okay,
yeah, we have to go through that with the state, so I'm already on that, but he's working on all that stuff.
okay.
We're just trying to, basically, the foundation, the main structure of the building is compromised and needs to be fixed
Yes.
before it all blows in, and the whole building just has to be tore down.
So that would be, anything structural, that would be Mr. Strader's office.
Yep. And we have the structural engineer already came in, and we have the whole plan
Okay.
in motion.
So how do I want to put this? Issuing the remodel for the interior, I'm just thinking back, because we've been in this situation before, and we can't sign off on the appearance of the front of the building without actually seeing it.
Yeah.
So we love seeing the blueprints and knowing what's going to go on there, but that's a little bit outside of our.
Kind of want a ChatGPT picture of it.
We would need to see basically exactly what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
We've had a couple situations in the past where people say, well, we're not changing anything, but lo and behold, they do. So
that's not the plan.
Yeah. So,
The code talks about replacement windows, glazing, being, fitting in the same openings as the original. It talks about what you can and can't do with the exterior brick and how it should be saved and salvaged. So I think we would need you to be really aware of those things because we're going to hold you to that. So I'm sure we need an elevation, a drawing of the exterior with your architect or your information about what you're doing. Replacing glass, yes or no? Replacing doors, exterior, yes.
Everything new, completely new.
But we can't just go with, we're gonna replace everything.
Yeah.
We kind of need to see what you're putting in, and it doesn't necessarily mean the maker of the window,
Sun windows,
but,
same ones on the theater.
I'm sorry?
Same ones on the theater they just did downtown.
Oh, yes, I
Yeah.
saw that in your note. It's important that we see what your plan is. We can replace that window with a much smaller one and just put plywood around it.
Yeah,
Right, but that's what we need to know.
the state won't allow it, it's historical.
Okay.
so.
And that, I guess that's where we are, we wanna see it too. I mean, if the state's, I realize they're gonna hold you to it.
Yeah, they are.
So are we.
Yeah.
And I think, in my book, I wanna see it before I can say yes. I mean, I'm glad you're taking this on.
No one
I'm
else
glad
wants to. No one else wants to.
You're fixing that building,
Yep.
but, I mean, I spent a lot, yeah, that was the cleaners and the pool hall. Spent a lot of time
Yeah.
there. Anyway, so I'd like to see it come back, and so, but I really, we want to see it, I want to see it before I sign off on it, so.
So I think where we would fall tonight is probably table this agenda item until we can get those elevation drawings.
Do you think you could have that before the next month's meeting?
I would have had them this meeting if I would have been aware.
Okay.
Sorry.
I would look for a motion then.
Steve Bodie, I'll move that we table PC 26004 for 1 month until the April meeting. And in that time, the petitioner will provide some exterior elevations.
We've got a motion on the floor to table
I will go ahead and second that table.
and a second from Jason Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is new business. Docket number PC 26006, remodel in historic downtown district, address 89 South Main Street. Owner is First Christian Church. If you'll sign in and then state your name for the record.
Thank you, sir. Already signed in. Mike Halstead, Halstead Architects, located at 1139 Shelby Street, historic Fountain Square in Indianapolis. So I'm here to answer any questions or any concerns you might have about the renovation of First Christian Church, which is literally just a block that direction of the corner of Main and Jackson. Most of the work that we're doing, I know you're only here to talk about the exterior, but the interior is mostly interior finishes in the sanctuary, in the east room, and the stairs and the hallways, painting, flooring. One major difference will be in the sanctuary, they're getting a new organ. Because there are more pipes in this organ, the organ can no longer be recessed underneath. The organ pipe's got to be moved out onto the altar, so that means the altar's got to get a little bit larger. I met on site with Bob, so he's aware of that. That's the major change inside. Exterior, all we're doing is removing the drop-off canopy on the south side of the building. That canopy was not original. If you've driven by or walked over and taken a look, when they put the canopy in, they actually covered over an arched stained glass window that's above it, partially, and then below it, they put in aluminum replacement doors, so it's not the original wood doors. I'm fairly certain that in 1892, when they built it, there was a set of doors there and a stair directly underneath that stained glass window, but we don't really have records of that, so we don't know. But we do know the canopy was added later because there are 2 clay tile stormwater leads that are still abandoned in place underneath the canopy. So the roofing all came to that point, spilled into those leads, went out into the street. Well, when they built the canopy, they just abandoned those, and now the canopy has downspouts at the south end. So that's really the only evidence we have that it's not original, is that they just abandoned the old roof drains. We're going to be replacing, when we take the canopy down, that's going to leave that facade exposed. We're going to match the width of the pointed arch window, bring it down to a sill. We think there may have been a water table there with limestone, so that's why we're patching with brick at the lower part and then just extending the window down so that it's not larger than the very large window just to the right of it, which is the large arched window in the east room. So that's basically the scope of work in terms of the exterior.
Thank you for that information. Does anybody have questions for the petitioner?
So you mentioned the sill. Is that, I looked at this elevation, it looks like the 3 windows to the west, and then the window on the other side to the east. Looks like their sills kind of line up, is that?
Yeah.
But is this one gonna line up? Because in this elevation, looks like it doesn't line up.
Should line up. If it doesn't, we'll make sure it does.
Well, okay, so yeah, that looks like,
A little bit larger.
okay, all right. Oh, good, all right.
If it doesn't, I'll make a note of that and make sure it does. That was the intent, but if it's off of course, we'll make sure that happens.
And you're having to fill in brick where it is missing now because there's a door there. Did you find some in the basement, or are you just trying to source
When we
something?
remove the stairs, the side of the stairs are brick, so we think we can just reuse that brick.
As much of it
And it
as you
should
can?
match, theoretically it should match. If you look real close at the south facade, there've been a couple other windows that were originally openings into the basement that have been closed in. They were able to match pretty close. I mean, it's not perfect. That is the one negative of trying to blend in like that, is you're never gonna find the exact brick. Hopefully, the other thing that we're hoping is behind the stairs. If you look at the stairs, there's no landing, number one. That's the reason why they don't use the stairs anymore, don't even use that exit. It's roped off on the inside. There's no landing, but the stairs, you can see that the brick goes behind it because the stair over years is sort of pulled away. And so we're hoping that that brick is still intact right behind the stairs, and then all we have to fill in is about a probably 6 foot wide by 4 foot tall section, and hopefully we can get that from the sides.
And those bricks are weathered in place too, so that'll help.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have any guess as to when the canopy was added?
Well, my hunch is in 1892 there weren't cars, right? So they didn't have a canopy originally. The education building was added in 1928, 1929. My guess would be the aluminum doors probably tell us it was built after World War II, sometime right after that, because cars were more prevalent. They wanted to drop off canopy. Jackson Street's going one way west, so they could drop the passenger off there. So I would guess sometime in the 50s with the aluminum doors, and that kind of gives it away that 50s and 60s, those were really popular.
And I just asked that because from a historic preservation standpoint, at some point later additions become historical themselves, and this certainly has what it appears to be good craftsmanship, the bracketing under the eaves and whatnot. does the city have any opinion with that being so close to the roadway? I mean, I walked by it and I thought, even I could make the case that from a safety standpoint, that I would be more in favor of eliminating an obstruction that close to the road.
It covers the sidewalk, which
Yeah.
is sort of an advantage, right? Because you can at least get in and out of the rain
Yeah.
and the snow. But it's about 5 feet from the curb. That's true. The columns are, and the face of the canopy. But
Any other questions for Mr. Halsted?
Well, I do have one.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter much, but on the application, I was able to put together your signature. Can you tell me whose signature that is, the owner?
I think it's Roxy. Yeah, that's Roxy.
Okay, thank you. Well, I do have one other question. The windows they're not gonna be stained glass like the others?
The new windows?
Yes.
We were proposing that they would add stained glass later unless there's an objection.
No, that's fine. I think that's a great idea, so, okay.
They'll probably start out with wood sashes to match the arch top, come down, paint it the same color. And then we don't have an artist rendering of what the stained glass might look like yet.
Okay, all right.
They found some old stained glass down in the basement, but it's not the right size. So.
And one of our other concerns, anytime there's any type of old brick tuck pointing involved, and I'm sure contractors should be aware of this, but we just want to stress using a higher line to binder ratio.
Softer mortar.
Softer mortar.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else have questions, concerns?
No.
Okay. I would look for a motion then.
I make a motion that we pass docket 26006.
Steve Bodie, I would second that motion.
Okay, motion made to pass docket number PC 26006 and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this next item, I'm going to excuse myself since I have a conflict of interest. So I'll be stepping away. I've got a law partner here tonight to answer any questions you have, and then our contract, Kirsch is going to present it for us.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Coffey. Next up on our agenda is docket number PC 26007, remodel in historic downtown district. Address is 59 North Jefferson Street. Owner is 59 North Jefferson Martinsville LLC. And it looks like you've signed in. If you'll state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Plan Commission. My name is Mike Kirsch, 222 North Old State Road 67, South Martinsville, Indiana. I'm here tonight to represent the owners of the property at 59 North Jefferson Street. The building's more commonly known as the Bourne, Oliver, and Coffey Law Office. And what we're proposing tonight is renovations to the facade, and it's basically the facade and the glazing only. Looking at the history of the building, I checked with a couple of different people in our community, Joanne Suchton and Randy Marsh, to ask if there was any historic value of the building facade, and they said that there was really nothing remarkable of the building itself. So what we're looking at doing is, you've got the drawings in front of you. We're doing the renovations basically to give a general uplift to the building because the shakes and the trim on it is very dated looking. And we're also doing the renovations to add energy efficient windows to the building, and also to remove a safety hazard with the way the concrete is formed at the door opening, which has been a trip hazard over the years. So we're trying to remedy some of the problems that are existing. If you look at the drawings, you're going to see that we're using a standing seam steel roof with matching trim. The wood trim that'll be around the windows is actually going to be a composite wood texture, which is kind of similar to various buildings around the downtown area. The windows that we will be using are going to be similar to the sun windows that's on the theater or an approved equal. The color on the cladding is going to be black, and the lights on the windows are going to be simulated divided lights to give it more of a traditional look. So the stone that'll be below the windows is going to be a tumbled cut limestone. It'll be white over gray, so it'll be more of a match to the building to the north of 59 North Jefferson. So the one thing that's not on your drawings is that we were planning on removing the blade sign that is on the Born Oliver and Coffee building on Main Street, removing that blade sign which was approved previously, and moving it to North Jefferson, and we'll be placing it on the corner where the alley is located. And that's pretty much everything that we're proposing to do. There'll be some small renovations on the inside, but that's going to be floor covering and painting only, and nothing structural of any consequence. Everything has been determined to be non-load bearing right where we're doing the work.
Okay. Seems straightforward, and I appreciate the renderings. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kirsch?
So how far does the overhang, right now it looks like it's minimal overhang, right? I mean,
It's going to be very comparable to what's there.
okay,
And the one thing that we didn't talk about is the color of the facade, which it's going to be a darker color, similar to the Urban Brew canopy, like a charcoal black. It won't be a black, it'll be a little bit of a lighter dark color. And the reason is that's going to be taking so much sun on that face that we want to try to reduce sun fade as much as possible. So it'll be very similar to the colors of the Urban Brew.
So I'm not exactly sure how we should handle the sign part of it. Being a sign that we've already permitted in another location. So we know that the dimensions of the sign meet, and looking at the building, I mean, I think we've not ran across an issue where people are going over the percentage allowed. So, I mean, I'm just throwing this out here and we can discuss it, but should we look at a stipulation that when the signs move, we just need to make sure that it is hung to the proper height? It has to be, is it 8 feet, at least 8 feet over the sidewalk where it hangs,
To the bottom side.
bottom of the sign.
And the sign will be placed above the canopy.
Okay.
It'll be placed on that south corner where the alley is.
Mr. Kirsch, are you repainting the exterior of the building?
Now, the only thing that we're going to be repainting is going to be the new trim where the windows are.
Okay.
The existing brick, everything above the canopy is going to remain exactly as it is. We will basically remove the old canopy, put the new canopy in counter flash, and that's the extent of the work.
I do, the rendering, the doors look a lot more, congruous the word. The doors that are on there now give a very residential feel, where this does look more like a storefront, which I appreciate.
And the doors that we're proposing, it's an entry system, that it's going to be kind of like an upgraded residential, but it is used in a lot of commercial applications.
Any other questions? I would look for a motion on docket number PC 26007.
I make a motion that we pass docket PC 26007.
I will go ahead and second that motion.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor to approve by Rich Baston and a second by Jason Scott. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Planning Commission members.
So the final item on our docket tonight is actually old business, but it is discussing the sign ordinance. I hope everybody received in the packet and by email the most up-to-date draft that we had on this. I do have a question for Mr. Coffey when he gets back up here, so.
Do any of us have an opinion about off-site signs? I mean, a sign for somebody's business, but placed at a different location. Do we know if that's addressed? I didn't see it, but I may have missed.
It's a good question, and I'm not. I tried to read through this several times, and that does not jump out as something that was addressed.
It seemed, we did this more than a year ago, but it sure seems like almost, a year and a half. That came up, but I don't recall. I kind of feel like we were told that maybe we weren't allowed to regulate off-site signs, but I'm not clear about that.
It seems to me that, and yes, I'm sorry, it's been well over a year ago now, but I remember a discussion that we cannot regulate the content of the sign.
Sure.
So the most common example of that happening is if I own ABC Inc. as a business and I've got my business sign at my business location and I put a yard sign that also has that business information on it in my personal yard, in obviously a residential district, I think that's allowed because each yard is allowed a yard sign. So. So we kind of went through last month and did a history of how this has come about. And the big thing is that our current ordinance does try to regulate by the type of sign, which you can't always tell without reading the content of the sign. which was the primary driver in getting this amended, so that we have some great descriptions, sizes, and pictures that make it much clearer on how to regulate the signs. In our subcommittee, I think you should all have it, and hopefully your copy is color. On page 4, under interim signs, we made some changes based on several of the members of the subcommittee. We had a 90-day limit for an interim sign, and that seemed to be very much on the low end, especially if you're dealing with a damaged sign that maybe you've got insurance involved with it. 90 days is not going to cover that in most cases. So we've got a fairly boilerplate replacement for that. And then, please don't make me read this because I will butcher it, but under the electronic changeable copy, also on page 4, it talks about the brightness and ambient light levels day and night. And I know that Mr. Johnson basically just took wording from standard sign ordinances from other districts with that. I did bring to his attention on page 8, we have a map showing the downtown historic district. The map that he drew in there is our National Register of Historic Places boundaries, but that does not match our written description in our ordinances, which simply states it comprises 9 square blocks bounded by the south side of Pike Street, Sycamore, Jackson, and Mulberry. So he has agreed to redraw that map just to show the 9 square blocks, not with the cutouts that the National Register had. And then the last change that we worked on was on page 12, section L for special temporary signs.
And Rick, just to go back a second on the map.
Yes.
We've got a revision that we can put in place of that?
Yes.
That matches our current district?
Yes.
Described. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So is there a time limit on let's say a business is over by the old Marsh building, and they put a temporary sign, let's say out by Walmart somewhere. Is there a time limit for that sign? It's not in if it's in a field or whatever. Is there a time limit for that?
So if I've read what's on our books currently, and I'm making an assumption that I've read it correctly, the limit on that is 30 days, unless it's been placed in a public right-of-way, which it's not supposed to be, without the consent of is it the Board of Works or BZA. There's a body that can approve that. So that was part of the hang-up on the temporary signs, that we're not trying to make it any more strict than it currently is. We have 30 days on the books right now. You can see by the language in the red, we made some concessions, and I'm not opposed to the concessions at all. I do think you'll notice a section, cumulative duration, shall not exceed 150 days in any calendar year. I will say if we adopt that, we will be allowing by at least 2 months more time than any other community sign ordinance that I've reviewed. And I've looked at between 10 and 15 different ordinances from around the area.
What was the subcommittee's opinion about that?
That's a great question, because we did, our final subcommittee meeting, we came back to meet on the document that you're looking at right now. We had very low turnout at that meeting. So we were not, this is what we discussed in those meetings, but I hesitate to say that there was approval around the table. Not to put you on the spot, Jim, but does that sound?
Yeah, I'd say it's,
I mean, I think everybody was doing their best to come up with an ordinance that is legally enforceable and has the least amount of impact while still performing the job that it's supposed to do.
we weren't trying to, I mean, you worry, there's businesses, sign companies, obviously. So, there's you don't want to put undue on them, but by the same token, I agree with Rick that 150 days per year seems a lot. But if you read the duration up there, I don't know how in the world we can get any shorter than that, There was compromise, I'll say that, in the discussions.
I need to ask Mr. Coffey, did we give any public notice on this prior to this meeting, and are we required to, since it's an ordinance change?
You're just having discussion tonight on it. However, I do believe we did publish it. I thought we did. I'm not sure, Mr. Streeter might weigh in on that, but certainly if this comes back before the council, that'll be a public hearing on that. So you're going to be covered by that anyway if we did, but I thought we had advertised this as well.
It was on the website and on the agenda.
Well, we'll have, if the council takes this back up, we'll have a public hearing on it, so your public hearing will be covered by that.
The 5 members who are present tonight, are we in a position to recommend that we approve this sign ordinance as written with the change in map and recommend approval to the city council? What do we each think about that?
I would like to have, just gather thoughts on if we like the duration of the temporary signs. I would like to have a unified front on this one. I'm not opposed to having tabling it for a month when we have better attendance. But I'm open to any, I know where I stand on this. I think this is I think this is it's an upgrade to what we currently have. And in a conversation I had with Brad Johnson, he did make the point that very few public ordinances are perfect. It's unattainable to come up with a perfect ordinance when you can find something that meets 90% of your needs in the community. There are always avenues for those outliers. They can go to the BZA with a request to have a sign longer, or if they need a larger sign for whatever reason. This ordinance certainly will not cover 100% of the situations that will come up in Martinsville. But I feel like it does a great job of covering that 90%. And at the end of the day, it is a 12-page document that covers a lot of territory. In my review, I saw some municipalities with sign ordinances that were 3 pages long, and I saw some that were north of 20 pages. My guess is that the shorter the ordinance, those 3 pages, I think if I had the time to watch some public meetings, they probably have a more difficult time with that shorter ordinance because it doesn't spell out the different examples that this one does. So,
Well, we have this on our agenda as a discussion. I don't know that we need to table anything. We're having our discussion. It just needs to be on the agenda possibly for next month, with the goal of more members being present, reviewing it, and being prepared to make a recommendation at that time.
I would be comfortable with that.
Rick, do you remember, and it just, the duration and the cumulative duration, in the one that we sent to the city council, was that wasn't even in there, was it?
No. What we sent September 24th, 2024, we made a motion and unanimously passed to City Council for approval what you see written there in black.
Okay.
So it simply said,
The use of temporary signs shall not exceed 30 days total in any calendar year.
yes.
Okay.
And the cumulative duration did not exist in that.
Okay, all right. I was just making sure I remember that.
Okay. So any further, does anybody else want to weigh in on that particular section now, or we can hold off till next month? Okay. One other item that was, I guess maybe we can, we've had an issue here in the last couple of months, and we noted it in our minutes, with petitioners not being present. I have been advised that is a procedural issue, and if we want to look at remedying that, it's a simple motion, basically a motion to add to procedures that the petitioners must be present at the meeting. So,
And it is on the new, at applications.
Okay.
So if it's on the application, do we need to make sure that that's, you know, the will of what we've done, I guess?
Yeah, you would need to, if you would like to make that a rule, then you'd take a motion, second, vote on the rule, and then we'll add that to your rules. So that now that everyone knows the rules are, if you're going to be an applicant, you need to be here to present and to answer questions.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we require the people to be here to present their business before us, simply because sometimes we have questions, and I think they need to be here to answer the questions, or at least somebody, maybe not the applicant per se, but somebody to represent them that are here to present before us, that they actually, there's somebody here to handle those questions.
Agreed that the petitioner or somebody on their behalf be present at the meeting, and that information be added to any applications that are given out, that they need to be, someone needs to be present who can answer questions.
However that motion was, clean that up.
So let me, okay, so we've got a motion. Motion to amend the procedures so that a petitioner must be present at the meeting or designate someone on their behalf to present at the meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Motion was made by Jim Burkhart.
Seconded by Steve, and with the addition that written information to that extent is on the applications as well.
Yes, a written authorization for somebody else to present. Okay. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Does anybody else have comments for tonight? If not, I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Jason Scott makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Steve Bodie, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, April 28th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Right.